Hi, families. Thanks for joining me for Curriculum Night tonight. Tonight, here's our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about my story, then dive into curriculum, and then a couple of things about what to expect in middle school. So the district asked us to share a little bit about our story. Mine started back in at the University of Michigan. So sorry, Spartan fans, I do bleed very blue. I was a science teacher, a GE science teacher once upon a time. I went back and got my master's. I worked in a resource room setting, which moved to a cross-categorical setting. And then there was a little boy that I met. His name was George, and he happened to have autism. He was a kindergartner. And that kind of changed the trajectory of my whole career. I never expected myself to fall in love with this job, but after meeting George and deciding that that's where my passion lied, I actually went back to school, got another certificate, an AST certificate, moved into teaching in Rochester, which had been here 11 years now, 9 of which have been at Van Hoosen in the self-contained program. I was, as some of you know, the ASD teacher consultant for the last couple of years for the district. But my passion has always been in the classroom. So when I asked to go back, they graciously said, sure, but I will still serve doing some work through START, through some grant projects and some coaching throughout the district. But I'm happy to be back. And this is kind of a quote that resonates with me, ignite your passion and find your calling. And I truly did by meeting George all those years ago. And I always say to people that this is a get-to job, not a got-to job. And I really do mean that. The other part of my story is my family. I live in the community, in the Van Hoosen community with my husband and my two kids. I feel like I should say 3 sometimes. This is our puppy, Moses, who is part grizzly bear. And he is enormous. But he lights up our house every day. Our other people you should know are our support staff, our ancillary staff here at Van Hoosen. Nicole and Brandy, speech and social worker, here at VH every day. Caitlin is our OT. Sheila is our psychologist, and our peer supports, Mrs. C, Mrs. A. Mrs. C also goes by Mrs. Crutchfield, Mrs. Blair, Mrs. Bagley. And Mrs. C is primarily in my classroom. And she's actually been with me. I'm very blessed for, I think, almost 7 years now. So she reads my mind without me saying any words, which is wonderful. This is our typical day. We start it with homeroom buddies, and we move into first hour about 7:40, which is morning meeting, some writers workshop. Second hour is math. We start those rotations between the classrooms, like we've already kind of talked about a little bit. We move into lunch. It's pretty early. We have a lunch at 10:45. When they come back, we do a little bit of yoga. It's a specially designed yoga for students with exceptional needs. We do some independent reading time. And then we do our ULS, which is our social studies and science, followed by life skills 5th hour, and then elective 6th hour. There's lots of opportunities for inclusion in the program, and that's a big push for us. Not only is it their general ed elective, but there's some other opportunities that are listed down here as well. And, inclusion for every student, it serves a different purpose. For some students, it's to meet an academic need. For others, it's practicing or a place to practice social and communication opportunities or lessons that we've been doing in group with Brandy and Nicole all week. And for others, it's a movement break. It serves a sensory purpose. So wide variety of needs that we're looking at. Curriculum-wise in our classroom, we've probably talked a little bit about this already, but we do use the 4 blocks of literacy, which is actually more of like a structure than a curriculum. And I'll get into a little bit more of that in a minute. But also our equals math and our ULS, which is social studies and science. So like I said, for 4 blocks, it's more of a structure. It's research-based. It came out of the University of North Carolina. For a long time, we were teaching with nothing. We were just looking at needs and moving forward. And this really gave us some, a framework to work around every day for students. The nuts and bolts of it are there's 4 parts, obviously. There's a writer's workshop, which could be shared writing, or it could be guided writing, guided or shared reading, self-selected reading, which we just for short call it dear time, drop everything and read. For the students where they're selecting books and they're acting on their own with books. And then working with words is more of the phonemic awareness or the letter ID piece, or building words, building sounds. And all 4 parts of those we do every day. So Writer's Workshop is first hour. Guided or shared reading, that's done in that 3rd hour rotation, along with the working with words block. So we do 2 blocks in 1 hour there. And then the self-selected reading is when they get back from lunch every day. And I realize, some students aren't reading words yet, and some are. So some students are just interacting with books. They're flipping pages, they're looking at pictures. I do have other like environmental print that they look at. I do have some interactive books, which if it helps them engage a little bit more by Velcroing pictures on or matching, that's something they can do as well. Some students need a larger screen and they might be looking at books on Epic. There's lots of, everybody's Dear Time looks a little bit different. Moving on to ULS a little bit, that's our social studies and science curriculum, and that is standards-based. For it flip-flops every month. We do a social studies unit, which that's what we're doing in September, and then followed by a science unit in the following month, which is October right now. There is a pre and post test, so that gives us some good data for our IEPs and to share with you guys as well. And then our math curriculum, it's a lot more robust than it once was, and that's our equals curriculum. It's multisensory, meaning it's we use tons of manipulatives. It gives the kids a really nice math foundation, and then we work in those IEP goals in addition to the curriculum. Each student should do about 1 chapter a year, and each chapter is split into sections. A section loosely aligns to card marking. And there's pre and post tests every section. Again, good data. Our life skills is something we do every day. Mondays and Wednesdays, we do pre-employment work bins, which are, the idea of these are to just build independence. So some of the tasks are academic, some are more vocational, like folding towels or sorting silverware. And again, some are academic based, but the idea is they get a work task or an assignment. They go and get their bin, they take the bin, find a place to work, complete the task, clean up, and then put it away and perhaps get another work task. So it's all about removing ourselves from the situation and the prompting and letting them grow their independence using a system. Tuesday is cooking. Thursday, we do campus jobs if they're ready for them. And that could be like recycling. It could be filling a copier with paper. It could be working in the media center. It's a wide variety of needs. Fridays is our movie, and that fits into our classroom, actually our program-wide positive behavior system. So not only do the kids work for their tokens, every day, every activity, but they accumulate those money cards, and we actually count the accumulation during that on Friday. And they essentially get a paycheck that they decide how they want to spend. And on Fridays, they might buy tickets. Depending on how good of a week they have, they can obviously afford more things to buy. But one of them could be a ticket to a movie. It could be tickets to, extra computer time or extra swing time or coloring pages. Some students like to buy things from our prize box. So if you'd like to contribute something they know they would like to buy on like a weekly basis, let me know and I can throw that in there. But it's a nice, very functional, very real life, meaningful way for them to use the money that they earn throughout the week. Homework is something we haven't talked about too much yet. Every student will get homework on Monday and it comes back the following Monday. We'll start that the week of the 13th, but it's optional. I know the families have a lot going on. You might be going to therapies after school, so don't feel like it's something that you have to complete. If you could, even if you decide not to do any of the things on top that kind of align to our focus during class, like the life skills and the social communication pieces, if you could at least fill out the weekend report, students get a kick out of sharing that on Mondays during our morning meeting. And they report out to their friends what they did. It really helps to build connections with the kids, get to know them. kind of building that community and that culture in our classroom. So if you don't do the top, that's okay. The bottom is pretty important. So other things to expect in middle school, kind of those typical things like assemblies, changing classes, the Anchors activities, those will, Anchors is a club, so they will have some after school activities that might come up. I'll send permission slips home for that. You don't have to participate, but you can. After school activities and quotes, those are dances. Those are there, and there's the opportunity for your student to go if you think it's something that enjoy after school, and those happen about once a quarter. But if they're not interested, that's okay. They don't have to go. But the opportunity is there. We can talk about what support might look like as we get closer to that based on their interest level and need. So we'll communicate the closer we get to those. Our focus is really on independence. You're going to hear that a ton in middle school. And then, sort of the scary things that people ask us a lot about are, the growth spurts, the sleep changes, puberty, hormones. We have been doing this a long time. And even if you're embarrassed, please come talk to us. We want to partner with you. We've probably been there, done that at some point with other students. So we want to set your student up for success. We want to be a part of helping you through those moments, whether it's social stories or tips and tricks that we've learned along the way. We have a lot to share. So communication is definitely key through middle school. Couple reminders, keep the communication coming. I've appreciated so much so far. Absent, if you can let me know so that I'm not waiting on a bus or waiting for you to come and I'm not bugging you if somebody's sick. That's great. Please also call the front office, the attendance line, to let them know so they can mark the, excused absence. Please continue to read the Viking Weekly. Those are important for school-wide connections. I will give you through the peak of the week that will come every Friday. I will give you program information, but the school-wide community really comes from Mr. Mooney on Fridays. Anchors should start up soon. That's every Thursday during lunchtime. They eat in that separate kind of smaller area with their peers. It's a lot more low key. You might want to consider sending a lunch those days rather than going through the cafeteria line, just to make the transition to the actual Anchors location a little bit more smooth. And then gym, just a reminder, if your student takes gym as their elective, they do go outside until about when the snow's on the ground. So be sure to send a fleece, a sweatshirt, dress them in pants, kind of think of it as recess in elementary school. They need to be dressed for whatever you would have sent before. Typically, we're not doing it during boot season, so you don't need that. But a coat is a good idea further into October, November we get. I think that's it. For now, if you have questions, of course, please call. I'm happy to have any conversations you need to have. Email is a great way also to get a hold of me, but I look forward to partnering with you throughout the year. It's going to be great. I can tell already.